Good evening. The time now is 7:03. And Shay, may I have a roll call vote to establish quorum?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Williams,
Present.
Ms. Lane, Ms. Veronica Morrill,
Present.
Dr. Coleman,
Present.
and Dr. Avant Elliott.
Present. Thank you. At this time, we will stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you. Miss Mara Real, would you be so kind as to share our board norms?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. These are the board norms of the Riverview Gardens Board of Education. Number one, cohesive team. We will pause to hear all voices after someone speaks. We will consider all opinions and assume possible intentions. Under number two, collective agreement. Collective voices to reach decisions. We will honor and respect the work of the board, honoring and supporting the board decisions at all times. Into category three, be prepared for meetings. The board will review the packet and submit questions within the established time frame. Members of the board will arrive 5 minutes prior to the start of the meeting. Administration will send board packets to the Riverview Gardens School Board of Education within an identified time frame. Number four, not allow outside entities to dictate board action. Riverview Gardens School Board of Education decisions will be made based on facts, policies, and procedures, not individuals' opinions or requests. Educate and encourage the community to follow proper protocols for voicing concerns, and that's policy KC, community engagement. Those are our board norms.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Marvell, welcome everyone to Michelle Obama Early Child Care Center. Isn't it beautiful in here? I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And they were so gracious and just took care of us really well. And so we thank you, Michelle Obama staff. At this time, I'd like a motion to approve the agenda.
I'm sorry. As far as the agenda is concerned, I would like to make a request that item under, let me get there. Bear with me. Under thank you. On the approval of the consent agenda, where was it at? I know that's 9A, but I'm trying to find the two that I was interested. Anyway, they had to do with the DOR consultants. I would like those to be pulled and discussed individually.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Um, 11. Okay. Do you want something to think of? 9A. Thank you. So a motion has been made by Ms. Mara Real to what was it? 11P under the item P under the items for consent to address each of those items separately. Can I get a second? It's been seconded by Dr. Avant Elliott. All in favor? This is to take the item for discussion, item P, and talk about, there are two, each one of them to address each one separately.
Madam Chair,
No,
for
she-
clarification, Ms. Morrill made a motion to remove item 11P from the items of consent to be discussed and voted on separately under 12F. So it will be added onto the agenda and voted on separate. Is that correct? Thank you.
I can't hear you.
No.
One is a,
It's for CFO, and I think it's for discussion, and the other one is for item for action. But both of them are under LDR for consultants. Thank you.
We got it. Thank you.
Get a second to that. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. At this time, Riverview Excellence. Mr. Ishmael Sistrunk.
Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Patton, colleagues and community. Today for Riverview Excellence, we are honoring one of our employees, one of our new employees, Dr. Melissa Nash. Dr. Nash. And Dr. Nash is the district interventionist, and she will receive the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award from the Rise Her Network on September 7 at the President's Service Volunteer Awards. I believe that's in Georgia. She will also receive an award at the Honoring St. Louis Hidden Treasures Anchors of the Community Awards luncheon from the National Council of Negro Women, and that's on November 2nd. And part of her awards, she was honored by Rise Her for her 20 years of service in education, mental health advocacy, community engagement, service, and leadership. And so we just wanted to congratulate her for her outstanding achievements. Dr. Nash, if you want to come on. You want to say anything about the awards? Or?
on behalf of Riverview Garden School District, the district that I represent, I would like to thank our Madam Superintendent and board as well as staff for bringing me onto the team, and I represent you wherever I go. So thank you for your continuous leadership and collaboration. I look forward to partnering with each of you and continuing to serve our youth and families within the school district. So thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah. And board, normally Riverview Excellence takes a photo with the board. And that concludes Riverview Excellence.
Is there any patron participation? Hey,
No, ma'am.
thank you. Are there any announcements?
Hello, everyone. I just want to share that the board participated in parliamentary training about 4 of us, and that was really good. And Riverview had a legislative advocacy meeting over the weekend, and they talked about our role in communicating to the community about voting, not necessarily a particular candidate, but about voting. So I would like to encourage the board and the district to possibly add communication about voting dates, when to register, and for the high school to have initiative to get the young people to vote and to do mock voting at various grade levels. Those are some of the things that we kind of talked about in order to promote voting. So we do encourage the community to get registered while you can, so you can go and vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Madam Chair.
May. You have,
And I just wanted to announce that Riverview Gardens will be taking part in our fall regional meeting. It'll be at Dunklin R5 School District. That's in Herculaneum. I think we're going to be at the elementary school, which is in Peevely, Missouri, but the board will be attending that. And I just wanted to let the community know.
thank you. At this time, we'll call for our superintendent's report.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. I do want to shout out Dr. Emita Williams for allowing us to be in the presence of her school. So great job. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're not going to stand up and let them see your nice jacket? There we go. Says director. There we go. Okay, all right. Thank you, Dr. E. All right, we have had a great start to the school year. We've been around the central office staff, central services staff have been around the district many times. Ms. Nave has been out all around, and we have had a great start to the school year as we visited schools throughout the week. But even on the first day, all the students were already learning. They were in class. Teachers were not playing. They were in class and they were learning already. So I do want to say thank you to our teachers, our principals, administrative staff. Thank you for a great start to the school year. I'm asking parents to remind our high school and middle school students that we have a clear backpack policy. So please make sure we will provide your students with a backpack if they do not have one, but that is for the safety of our campuses. So just to remind them of that, as well as the importance of attendance. Make sure your scholar is there every day and ready to learn. But it's been a great start. So hats off to everybody on a very well-planned start of the school year. I want to remind everyone that Monday, September the 2nd is Labor Day and the district will be closed. And then on September the 7th, there will be a Moline Acres Awareness Day Parade. That's Monday, September the 7th. And then our homecoming parade is September the 28th. The parade will be at 8:30. We invite our Board of Education and our community partners to participate. You can do that by going to our website and signing up to participate to be in the parade. But I also want to invite the community to come out and line the parade route. It will be from the bus depot on Chambers. We will make a right onto Bell Fountain. We'll take that down to Shepley, make another right, and then we will go to the Riverview Gardens High School where our own Dr. Jared Smith is the principal. So again, that will be September the 28th, homecoming parade at 8:30. If you are interested, please access our website and sign up to participate. And we are asking our community to come out and line the parade route. We will also have a football game that same day at 11 a.m. versus Normandy. And then that evening will be our homecoming. So we are already kicking into gear. We will have our own school district. When we went out to the community and asked them to pass a few referendums, they came out for us. So it is now our time to go out and say thank you to our community. So we will have 4 community walks. One will be September the 21st. That will be in conjunction with the Village of Riverview Parade That will be at 2 p.m. Riverview Gardens will participate in that, and we'll hand out small trinkets just to say thank you to our community. And then on November 9th, March 29th, and then May 17th, we will do our community walks when we are knocking on doors, introducing ourselves, letting our families know that we appreciate their support and we are here to support them. That is just our way of saying thank you because they've shown up for us every time we've asked them to. On this Thursday at 6 a.m., KSDK will be visiting our high school. And we will be interviewed. Dr. Smith and I will be interviewed. The band will be out there, cheerleaders, and our football players will be there. So if you're not doing anything at 6 a.m., please join us. The more the merrier. And again, that will be this Thursday at 6 a.m. And we are looking forward to that. If you watch the news in the morning, you see that they've been out at several. I think yesterday, maybe they were at Rittner. They were at a couple of schools last week. So we are looking forward to that. And we hope we have a big turnout. And then on Friday, our Director of Communications and I will visit Fox News to do an interview with them on Studio STL. We'll be talking about the Riverview Garden School District, our CSIP plan, the job openings. So we have a lot going on. But again, I want to take hats off to our school community. We've had a great, this is my 5th year, and I think this may have been the best start to the school year. So thank you all. Thank you. That concludes my report.
At this time, we will look at our items for information, health services program evaluation.
The first item up for information is our health services program evaluation. Making this presentation is our own lead nurse, Ms. Diana Mitchell, and our executive director of student support services, Ms. Deirdre Liddell. This is in compliance with policy IM, evaluation of instructional programs. Ladies.
Greetings to Riverview Gardens Board of Education, Dr. Tanya Patton, and colleagues and community. I'm Diana Mitchell, and I will be doing the program evaluation for health services. Okay, first slide. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so the changes made for the 2024 school year was started with CDC. We followed their guidelines with COVID. So the changes were we did the 5 days of isolation instead of, and we also did the no contact tracing, and people who tested positive, they had to contact their own, let the people know that they were in close contact with them. And then in 2024, CDC also had some changes. They updated again. And so when they updated, they went to the respiratory virus guidance, which we also followed. And with that, that was for the the respiratory guidance was for the respiratory illness. The respiratory guidance, the district followed it, which means that instead of 5 days, if you were sick, you stayed home for 24 hours. And then if you felt better, you could come back to work. We ask that you work, and then you wore your mask, and you did your social distance. Your mask for 5 days, you did your social distance. And So the goals and objectives was we had, we we continue the preventive mitigation measures with the district as far as COVID. And we also had the continue with our partnership with the VNA for the biometric wellness for our employees. We also worked on decreasing the immunizations, the non-compliant immunizations, and we used different resources to help with that. We had used Children's Hospital, Healthy Kids Express. They helped us decrease the numbers of non-compliant immunizations. They saw 74 students and administered 264 immunizations. We also had the program of the St. Luke's came and they also did mammograms for our employees. They did see 16 of our staff. We also had St. Louis Special School District. They do parent screenings for our students. They saw 2,274 students. And the students that they referred that did not pass were seen. They also saw them at their facility at different times when the parents made appointments. We had Kid Vision for Life. They saw 2,475 students. That's how many students they actually did screenings for. They did eye exams for 199 students. They also did, they provided eyeglasses for 217 students. We also had little bit how many they supported our students as well. They provided physical exams for 20 of our students, and they also did hygiene classes throughout the district for 800 students. We also have with the Kids Express, the asthma van. It comes to 3 of our schools, Meadows, the Masters, and Highland, and they were able to see 73 of our students, which they provided education for them. They taught about the triggers and what they need to do to how to use their asthma inhalers. Tools, criteria to evaluate. We use the 6K end of the year health services data report. We use the information from the Rams Clinic with the CUR-STL. We also use the consent forms from the different vendors, the different resources like with their consent forms and physicals and vision exams, the dental exams, Gateway Dental, they saw 460. Opportunities and next steps. We would definitely continue with the respiratory virus guidance, and if CDC change or make any changes, we will also make changes if needed and when needed. We will continue to grow with our partnerships with the community healthcare services resources, and we will continue to promote our Rams Clinic with CUR-STL. We would also like to elaborate a little bit more about the possibility of a van, like a minivan, for our district for the students, so we could transport our students to the CUR-STL for services, and that will help with the attendance. Any questions?
All right, thank you,
Thank
Nurse
you.
Mitchell. Our next item up for information is the Family Engagement Program Evaluation. Making this presentation is Deirdre Liddell. She is the Executive Director of Student and Community Support Services. And this is in line again with policy IGBC, parent and family involvement and engagement. Ms. Liddell.
Greetings to the Riverview Garden School Board of Education, Dr. Tanya Patton, colleagues and community. We had a few updates for our Parent Advisory Council. So with these updates, we wanted to continue to push our parent-teacher organizations to make sure that all of our schools have PTOs. We currently have 8 out of the 13 schools with PTOs. We have also decided to continue our resource fairs. Our resource fairs have been great for our families and our community. With our resource fairs, we saw growth over the last school year, and we hope to see growth with the next resource fair. So we will be continuing those resource fairs this year. We've had 3 resource fairs simultaneously in the past, where we travel from the high school, one of the middle schools, and also Michelle Obama Early Education. This year, we also celebrated a district-wide 314 Day. 314 Day was a great day of activity that was led by our student voice. So our students asked for actually for a 314 Day because many of the activities that their parents are involved with or that they're involved with, they can't really do because they're inside of the school that day. So we decided to bring 314 Day to them. And our community partners showed up. We had Fred Bird. We had many of our local authors come in and read to the students. We even had some of our other communities come in and read to scholars. So it was a great time. The goal of the parent organization is to build strong and effective partnerships with families and also offer resources that our community can use that will help our families thrive. The objective is to increase the parent-school collaboration in order to promote healthy development for our children and provide safe schools in our communities. So we also have attendance sheets for our parent universities, as well as our PAC meetings, our fairs and events. We've had over 918 people in attendance, both virtually and in person. We do pre and post surveys. Our pre and post surveys pretty much lead what the parent universities and different topics will be for the future. We've had question and answer sections so that the parents can solicit, so we can solicit parent input and provide solutions to any of the answers or their questions or concerns. We even held a coffee talk at one of our local coffee shops within the district. As you can see, our parent involvement has begun to increase, and we hope that this year we'll have even more parent involvement, increase in parent involvement. So our opportunities and next steps is to make sure that we have a PTO in every school. And if we don't have a PTO in every school, our plan is to make sure that we combine some of the schools to make sure that we can get enough parents out and we can grow the schools and then eventually separate the schools. We would like to do annual spring resource fairs. We will continue our annual family dinner. Our family dinner we had a great turnout for family dinner last year. And then we'll also do parent career fairs to make sure that our parents are able to come out and get some of those resources as well, because we want to be all encompassing to our families. We'll continue our Saturday coffee talks, and we will start a summer reading club. Are there any questions?
Good presentation. With the resource fairs or the career fair for parents, is the district at the table also offering opportunities for employment
Yes,
during
ma'am.
that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Were there any other questions?
Thank you.
I did have, I had a question. Well, I asked that in regards to, and I know that you answered this question, but I would like for the public to hear, in regards to the PAC updates, has there been talk of, or can there be talk of combining parent organizations of neighboring schools? For example, since Meadows and Lewis and Clark are in close proximity, if they could combine their efforts to have a combined PTO organization and PAC organizations, partnering with the neighbor school could increase our parent involvement and bring some unity in our neighborhoods, because sometimes we're divided just based on which street we live on.
Yes, that was a great question and a great idea. I've already reached out to Ms. Arman to figure out how we can make that happen.
University City has a wonderful model. They have brought their schools together to have a larger PTO. So you might want to check with someone there. They presented at a conference last year, and it was just a wonderful idea of bringing their community together and helping to eliminate some of that division in the community, bringing people together. And it really has been a great program. I was thinking that especially at the elementary level, that maybe we could have some small incentives building wide for getting parents to come out. For instance, the classroom that has the most parents that show up for PTO might get an extra 15-minute recess or something like that, because kids like that, they will. A lot of times, if our children come home and say, Mama, you got to go to the PTO. When our children are excited about it, sometimes that gets our parents excited. So if you all could at your building levels, come up with some little incentives, I don't know, popsicle day, freeze pop day, something. But the class that has the most parents have a extra recess or something to get our parents out in the community.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think what you find, Dr. Coleman, is that at the building level, if there's an event, you can't even get it in the parking lot. It's usually pretty packed. It's the community, it's the district level events that we're trying to increase. And if you look at the slide, it seems like we are slowly increasing that too. So we will continue to work on that.
Thank you.
Our next item up for information is the Michelle Obama Early Childhood Academic Center Program Evaluation. Making this presentation is Dr. Emita Williams, the Director of Michelle Obama. And this is in conjunction with Policy Evaluations of Instructional Programs. Dr. Williams.
Good evening. Review Garden School Board of Education, Dr. Patton, scholars and community. I'm here to present the Michelle Obama Early Child Academic Center Program Evaluation. Having a technical difficulty. For the 23-24 school year. First of all, I would like to say thank you for allowing us to be the first school for you to come visit this school year. We're honored to have you here in our home, and I want to give you an open invitation. We have an open door policy. If you ever want to come visit and walk the halls, come at arrival and dismissal time, come read a book, come grab a hug from one of our scholars or a smile. They're always here to give those. This year, our theme is serving up success, and that is what we will do this school year. You guys are clicking for me? Awesome. I appreciate it, because I was going to be like this. Our Early Childhood Center has the capacity of 260 scholars, and we are at our max at this time. We have 121 scholars on the wait list, and the families are calling every day to see if we have space available for their children. We have a total of 17 classrooms, 12 of them are general education, and 5 of them are half-day SSD classrooms. Our SSD area coordinator is here tonight, Dr. Virad. She's with us tonight as well. Thank you, Dr. Virad, for being here. Some of our MOECAC updates are, I already stated about the enrollment, the wait list. Our attendance has been averaging about 81%. Last year, we worked with Solution Tree to align our collaborative teams process and ensure that our teachers are doing the things that they need for scholars in planning their small group and tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 instruction. We hosted a family resource fair with the family engagement team. Also, we opened a new half-day program. This year, I said we had 5 classrooms for SSD. So we opened up a new classroom because there is a need for our scholars to get that extra help. 30% of our families have signed up for the Dolly Parton Imagination reading. So that's a great initiative. We are promoting that again this school year. We updated our school-wide expectation matrix to align with the district's be safe, be responsible, be respectful matrix as well. Our staff has been trained in the following initiatives: Project Construct, My IGDs, that's our assessment, and Conscious Discipline, that's what we use for our SEL. And also MTSS, they were just trained for that this past August. So some of our goals and objectives for MOECAC, our objective is to continue the collaborative team process and to work with our data teams weekly. So we meet with them on Wednesdays to discuss goals and strategies and ideas with one another so they can move forward and improve their instruction. Also increasing parent involvement. We have really good parent involvement here, but we do want to increase in some of those activities that we do have. And improving our school climate. We want to make sure that our school climate is conducive for everyone, the staff, as well as the scholars. So our evaluation tools for MOECAC are, for goal 1 is using our pre-K My IGD data, and for goal 2 are our sign-in sheets and parent involvement events. Goal 3 is for staff school climate survey. So the next slide, I do want to say that I did have time to revise my presentation for tonight to reflect the comparison data, but I would like to explain something first. In 2023, our scholars took the benchmark assessment. That was an assessment that was created by an assessment team here at the school. Last school year in 23-24, we began taking the My IGDs. That is to align with the STAR Renaissance that the kindergarten students take at this time. So we don't have exact comparable data this school year, but we will next school year. I did try to align some of those like named indicators, but they are not precise because some of them are timed, and the ones that we did on the benchmark were not timed at all. We gave scholars the adequate time that they needed to complete. And then I'll go into that once I get to the math section because some of them will say timed. So this is our benchmark school data. If you see that in the spring, we ended up with 49% at expectation. Only 4% were below expectation, and we have 47% at exceeding expectations for our benchmark data. And at and exceeding was at 96% for our scholars. If you go to the next slide, that's our My IGDs growth and development data. So you can see that areas they even rate theirs differently. They use different terms: below expectation, at risk progress, and they consider that the tier 2, tier 3 level. And we do also, because that's who we plan for those scholars for other interventions and strategies. And then the orange section is the at expectation, then strong progress, and then the growth section. So if you see the names are different, My IGDs, they had picture naming. Which one doesn't belong? We did not have that. Alliteration, we did not have that. And then that's only taken in mid-year. Rhyming concepts, sounds, and then in math at the bottom, you'll see it says timed. We did not time our scholars in our benchmark, but on My IGDs, they do time them on how far they count, early numeracy, and then quantity comparisons. So this is my idea of trying to compare the My IGD data and the benchmark assessment. So if you see the first column, it's for picture rhyming. We did not have picture rhyming. So that was 42% for picture rhyming. There was a 23% decrease in rhyming. They do their rhyming different than we did. We would give the scholars opportunity to give us a word that would rhyme with something that we gave them. Like we would say, what rhymes with cats? And then they would have to give us a response. So it was more expressive. This one, they show them cards and they tell them what they are, and then they have to remember and then say it. So it's a quite different task. Sounds was a decrease in 40%. Again, we just showed the scholars the letters A through Z and asked them to show us the sounds that they knew. And then they show particular sounds that they think that scholars should know. And the next section was 30% for the which one doesn't belong. I actually like that because it kind of reminds you of Sesame Street when you show all the pictures and you say, well, which one doesn't belong here? You know, that song, remember that? And then alliteration was 64%. That was a new skill for them this year, and they did pretty well. And there was a 16% decrease in oral counting. Again, that was a time thing, and we would let the scholars count as far as they could. They could count to 500 if they needed to, but this one will stop them at a certain point. I think they get 60 seconds. Early numeracy is 37%, and quantity comparison, this was like subitizing, so that was 27%. Numeracy 101 was 51%, colors 96% was on our old one, because that's a blue line there. So they were really good at colors in 22-23. Environmental print was 80%, quantitative concepts 82%, and shapes were 74%. So they did really well on our old benchmark, and they are learning how to do the new one. Our next goal, parental involvement. We, like I said earlier, we have great parental involvement, and it's pretty consistent. And some of the activities did increase this year and some of them went down. But we're pretty consistent. Goal 3 for staff and school climate, we asked the staff 9 questions. I pulled 3 of them because those were the most significant ones to school climate. And the climate of the school district promotes an environment of mutual respect among faculty, staff, and students was 27.8% as always, and 55.6% for usually. So we use these for growth opportunities and making sure that our staff is feeling safe and respected. Administrators promote continuous improvement among faculty and students was at 61% for always, and that was good as well, and 55.6% always for PLC engagement. So opportunities and next steps for MOCAC is monitoring the consistency and fidelity of the implementation of my IGDs. Again, like I say, it's new and the teachers are learning how to do it. It takes longer than the other benchmark. And so we're trying to work ways, trying to figure out how to make the timeline shorter for them. Continue alignment of assessment and curriculum, also evaluating our tier 2-3 intervention process. Evaluating parental involvement activities for participation. We do that after every parent activity. And developing ongoing school-wide strategies to teach students specific social behaviors. So making sure we have our matrices put throughout the whole building and teachers are utilizing those lessons and utilizing the matrix in the classroom. We also want to incorporate morale boosters for our staff and daily inspirations based on mutual respect. Also staff and teacher recognitions as well. We want to continue the Waterford Reading Program with the PK4 scholars for instructional practice and RTI. Increase partnership with YWCA. I'm still looking into bringing the Early Start program here. It's a 6-week to 2-year-old program. And we would like to expand early childhood by opening 2 classrooms. But of course, we have to have teaching staff, and that is very difficult at this time. We also would love to have a librarian, a social worker, and a counselor added to our staff. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions for me?
Great presentation. My question is about the special education students. I think I brought up before about them having the 4-day weekday. Is there collaboration with other daycares to support the parents on a Friday when they are not coming to school? I was curious about that first.
So we have a list of 10 daycares that we give the parents for aftercare, before care, and for that 5th day. As well, we did talk to Believe It Learning Center. They would like to partner with us for our overflow scholars.
Okay. And as far as curriculum that you use, what are you doing? Teaching strategies? What are you?
Well, our framework is Project Construct. So we
Okay.
use that as our framework. And then we provide a instructional guide that we created.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Lane, you had a question?
I have a tendency to kind of read a lot,
Mhm.
maybe a lot of the stuff I don't understand.
Mhm.
I tried to figure out when did the IGD, how did that come about? When was that introduced? And I'm struck by your comments about the students are learning, they used to do it this way, but now they're doing it that way and it's not like complete. So why was that decision made to teach them some other way if they were learning it the way they were doing it?
So it's not the teaching, but it's the assessment piece. So the teaching is still the same. It's the assessment piece. So it was introduced from Dr. Kennedy 2 years ago for us to start the MyIGD so we could align with the district STAR assessment, the reading assessment. So I'm sorry, Renaissance, the STAR Renaissance. Elementary does the STAR Renaissance. So now we do the PK version of STAR, which is MyIGD. And that's just for assessment only.
Our district, this isn't coming from DESI.
No, it's not coming from the state that I know of. You're welcome. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm rushing.
So much. Dr. Patton, if you let me digress just a minute, I forgot to announce to this group that Ms. Tisworth and Ms. Jackson are excused from this evening's meeting. Just so you know. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams.
Welcome, thank you.
Our next item up for information is the 23-24 Communications Program Review. Making this presentation is Mr. Ishmael Sistrunk. He's the Executive Director of Communications. And this again is in alignment with policy IM, evaluations of instructional programs. And it looked like Ms. Ayanna Flowers is assisting.
Good evening again. Yes, and I will let Ms. Flowers introduce herself as we begin.
Good evening, Riverview Gardens Board of Education, faculty and staff. My name is Ayanna Flowers and I'm the communications specialist. I've been with the district for a little over 3 years. I've worked in student support, leadership and accountability, human resources, and now in communications. And I'm stationed at Lewis and Clark Elementary School where I love it there. Thank you.
All right, and yeah, this is a communications program review or evaluation. The communications department is myself, Ms. Flowers, communications specialist 1, Ms. Ebony Hartfield, administrative assistant who couldn't be here tonight, and Mr. Tim Hinkie, who is our webmaster on a contractor basis. If you go to the next slide, a new view. And so these items that you see are a lot of the communications products that we put out. So the Ramley Matters podcast is a podcast that we do. Ms. Flowers does some of the episodes. I do some of the episodes. That's something that has really picked up as we interview staff members, students. We're going to be interviewing some parents soon. And so that has really picked up. So if you have not listened to any of those episodes, they're available on the website or any podcasting app. Check that out. Also, you see some videos here with the young students, a TikTok video from Michelle Obama. The Inside View is the district newsletter that goes internally and externally. That's a monthly newsletter. The 5 Things You Should Know is a weekly newsletter. Again, that goes to internal audiences, external audiences as well. And that's just short things to keep people updated on a weekly basis. Last year was the first year since I've been here that we mailed out a newsletter. And so we're going to be doing that quarterly this year, but that Ramley Connection, which I'm sorry to Miss Nave and Dr. Smith. I didn't realize I stole that name from you guys inadvertently, but that was mailed to over 30,000 homes in our community last year. And we're going to do that quarterly this year. Also, the CSIP one pager is a document that we work with CNI to develop. And so you'll see we do digital newsletters, mailed newsletters, postcards, podcasts, social media, videos, and live streaming. Go to the next slide, please. Advertising and marketing. That's something that is managed out of the communications department. And over the last year, we really increased a lot of the advertising and marketing. A lot of that was thanks to the ESSER $3 that we were able to do a lot more recruiting. But if you look at the slides, we were on Fox 2, Studio STL, As Dr. Patton mentioned, we're actually going to be going there on Friday, her and I. We were on Channel 5's, is that See Me in St. Louis in the morning, where we had our parent engagement team, Miss Liddell, who may have wanted to fight me because we got her on a commercial, and that's, that wasn't her thing that she liked to do, but for the district, she definitely represented well in her commercials. We also did a lot or some newspaper advertising. So Ms. Khadijah Tijan was the CMO Counselor of the Year for the St. Louis American. We placed advertisement in there. You see, this actually is from this year with Dr. Patton, but Dr. Pruitt Adams did it also last year where they did an interview on Jubilee 690 AM and got a lot of good information about the district. And then we did some billboards as well for recruiting. And again, the communications department designed all of these billboards. We worked with some of the news stations to develop the commercials and to plan the content for the sponsored TV spots as well. So radio, online search, social media, billboards, recognition and awards, community partnerships, and sponsorships. The next page, next slide. On the left side, you'll see Prop S. And Prop S is something that is a huge, heavy lift for the communications department because we design all the literature, the billboards, and really worked with Dr. Singleton to get the message out about Prop S. And so we designed door hangers, billboards, helped to plan meetings. And of course, the result of Prop S is we got nearly 73% of the vote to get Prop S passed. And so that's something I'm really proud of. Prop E and Prop S, we got super majorities on that. And that's really like a full-time job for the communications department because we're constantly scheduling ads, scheduling door-to-door walks and things like that. And so we're really proud of that. Recognition, that's something that last year that we really made a priority to increase recognition of our staff members, of our students. And so these are just some of the examples of those. And Riverview Excellence, we did that tonight. We are bringing those to you more and more often so we can acknowledge our staff, our students, and our families. Our social media goals. I'm going to let Ms. Flowers take this. And this is actually, this says 24-25. This really should be 23-24 because we're letting you know what our goals were last year and how we met those goals.
All right, thank you. All right, our department loves analytics. So we're going to go over our social media. So if you look at our Facebook, in July 1st, 2023, we had 3,020 followers. Our goal for July 2024 was 3,478. So as you see, we had a 15% increase for that. Our actual followers were 3,000. I'm sorry. Our goal for 2024 was at 3,478. So we had the 15% increase. And then if you look at our actual numbers, you see that increase there, which is 12.65 increase. For our Twitter, in 2023, we had 1,007 followers. And as you see, our goal was 1,558. We actually only had 999, so we had a little bit of a decrease. If you look at our Instagram, we had in 2023, 1,798. And we, our goal for 2024 was the 2,248. We actually had, our actual numbers were 2,700 followers. So we had a very, very good increase. So I really want you to look at the actual numbers. That's what we want you to look at because that's our actual numbers. If you look at our YouTube, in 2023, we had 291 subscribers. Our goal for 2024 was 335, and we actually have 697. So that's really, really good, 139.51%. Our LinkedIn, our goal or our actual for 2023 was 170 followers. Our goal was 213, but we actually had, if you see over here, 339. So we had a 99.4% increase. And lastly, our TikTok in 2023, we had 44 followers. Our goal for 2024 was 100 followers, and we actually surpassed that with 183 actual followers. So 316% increase. So sorry if there was any confusion at the beginning, but our 2023 were our numbers for 2023. And then the middle column were our goals. And then the third is our actual numbers. So those are the numbers that really, really make sense. Okay, any questions?
Yeah, and for most of the social medias you see, we had massive increases. Sometimes when you look at numbers where if you have 697 subscribers, that doesn't look like a huge number, but that's almost 140% increase from where we had before. And so that's what we're really looking to do, is just sustain the increase. We have the communications plan later, so we'll go more into our goals for the coming year, but we met most of our goals for last year. Next slide, please. Departmental goals. This is a review of what we had last year and how we did. So our number one departmental goal was develop an intranet system to serve as a communications hub. We ended up sort of punting on that. We worked on that. We started to develop one. We did work with HR to push out KeyNet, which houses some of our HR data in an intranet-like hub. But as we worked on it, we realized that really that's a better job for our website to do. And our current website provider didn't have a great solution. And so now as we're moving to Aptigee coming up in October, they have an intranet platform. And so we postponed that until October 2024. When we launch the new website, it'll have the intranet with that. Whole weekly communications department meetings. That was something that we really hadn't done in the past. But over this past year, we've met every week unless there was a holiday or something like that. We're as a department, and then Ayana and I meet one-on-one each week. Ebony and I meet one-on-one each week. So we've had a lot more meetings, and that's helped us to better strategize. So that goal was met. And attend local community meetings and events at least twice per month. We met that goal. We had lots of events with North County Incorporated, North County Chamber of Commerce, Little Bit Foundation, Bell Fountain had a town hall. And so a lot of those meetings. Now, one thing we didn't get to a lot were the Board of Aldermen meetings and things of that nature. That was a plan. A lot of those meetings went from online back to in-person last year. And with Prop S, we just really didn't have the bandwidth to make those meetings. But what we've done is we've worked with Dr. Patton. This year, we're going to have some quarterly meetings where we invite the elected officials to come in and have a lunch or a breakfast with the superintendent, so that we're inviting them in. And we don't necessarily have to get out and go to those meetings, but we still have that two-way conversation going. Any questions? Yes.
So followers, that actually means people who signed up for that media thing, but that's not the same as viewers, is it?
No, so followers on social media is essentially who decides to come to your page, and some call it subscribe, some call it follow. But if, say for our Instagram account, if you say, I want to see Riverview Gardens post, and you go and click on the follow button, then you're going to see our post in your stream. So that's somebody who's intentionally coming to view our content on those platforms.
But they can view it without following.
Yes, they can view it without following. They
Okay.
don't have to follow us, but that just puts it in their feed on a normal basis if they do.
And the reason I ask is, I asked city clerk to put the link for the restorative practice
Yes.
on our city website.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
so more people probably saw that than just your data
Yeah,
says.
this is only
because-
for these social media platforms. So Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. Now we can look at or analytics for the website to see how many people viewed that specific page. So that's something I can go to and compare, the last year and see if we've had an increase in that. But this doesn't show our website analytics. This is just for the social media platforms.
Well, I would like to encourage, I think it's an excellent idea to have the elected officials come, because some of these meetings can get to be too long. But if we could encourage the municipalities that our district services, if we can encourage them to put some of these links on their home pages,
Yes, ma'am.
so they can reach the citizens of that municipality, I think that would be helpful too.
Thank you for that suggestion. We'll definitely do that.
Yes, I was gonna make something similar. I know that the state rep, the senator, and the county council woman for our area has newsletters. And so when I gave them the clinic flyer, they were willing to put it in their newsletter so we can make them a regular partner to put out communication that we want to go to, you know, reach more constituents. I don't think it just go to registered voters, but it goes to everybody. So that's a suggestion. And then I was just curious about strategy. When the flyer went out about how we handle discipline, I was just curious to what is our strategy when like a STL News puts something out and we got to combat it. Do we actually communicate with them? How do we intervene on their narrative? I was just curious.
We really deal with that on a case-by-case basis. Sometimes, I mean, people are going to say negative things about the district, and so we can't stop. Now, if there are things that are targeting people or harassment or bullying, we'll report those, or we'll try to work with the organizations to get them taken down. But if it's someone who's just displeased with the district, they have their right to be. Now, we do send information to Real STL News, VOTP, as well as the major news organizations. We send press statements and newsletters and things like that, so they get that information. And when it warrants it, we will try to clear things up and work with them. What we do know, and I think Dr. Patton's mentioned it before, is that some of our parents, some of our constituents, when we send letters to the community about an incident, they send it right to the news. If somebody has a issue with their teacher or their principal or with the district in general, if they see something negative, they send it right to the news. The reporters get that. And a lot of times they look at it, evaluate it, and make that decision. But we do sometimes work with those organizations, but we can't, you know, anytime somebody has something negative, sometimes we just have to let it go. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving into items for discussion, our first item up for discussion is open sessions meeting minutes. Making this presentation is Ms. Shay Fields. You're on here? No, you're looking at me.
So this item was tabled, and so Ms. Veronica Moore will take care of.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Clarity on this issue, and because I wanted to be respectful of the time of the employees of the district, I requested that this be put to this meeting so that we have ample time to review it. And then today, we can make a determination on it. And so that is why it's on here today, because I know we appreciate the time that you all sit in these meetings with us and be patient and listen. So it was in order to save time on that. And the discussion was kind of getting away from the topic. So we wanted to give our board time to really look at it, and we can discuss it today. And so do I need to make the motion to put it back on the table? Madam Chair, then I would like to make the motion to put this item, the open session meeting minutes, back on the table. Do I need a second? I need a second. Okay.
Okay, it's been motioned by Ms. Morrill and second by Ms. Lane to bring the open session minutes back to the table.
So is there any discussion on it? Discussion on it? Can you all hear me? Yeah. If there's no need to be a discussion on it, Madam Chair, we can make a motion on whether to.
So this item is on the agenda later for approval.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving to the next item up for discussion, Read 180 and Math 180 for secondary schools.
Excuse me, Dr. Patton.
Okay.
We need a vote from our board members. We need a vote, Madam Chair, on the open session
A
to bring it
motion
back to
to
the
bring
table.
the
Yes.
motion back to the table and vote on it later on in this meeting.
We just need a vote that All in favor that we do bring it back to the table?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
No
you.
opposed. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to take a pause to make sure that we're good to go. We're good to go? Okay. Moving on to the next item up for discussion. It is the Read 180 and Math 180 for secondary schools. This is in conjunction with policy IGAB, instructional interventions. And making this presentation is Ms. Tracy Nave, Assistant Superintendent of Leadership and Accountability.
Good evening, Board of Education, Superintendent Patton, colleagues, and community. This evening, I bring forth for you for discussion the continuation of services for Read 180 and Math 180 systems for the 24-25 school year at the secondary schools, Riverview Gardens High School, Central Middle School, and Westview Middle Schools. This system is committed to increasing literacy and numeracy for our Tier 2 students at the secondary level, and ultimately student performance on the MAP and EOC. We would like to continue the services for Read 180 and Math 180 systems for the 24-25 school year at the secondary schools to be paid through ESSER funds in an amount not to exceed $83,703. Are there any questions?
Just curious, has a full evaluation been done on the product to show how our students are truly benefiting from Read 180?
Yes, this summer we did receive data from the company to see the usage of Read 180 and Math 180 at the schools, as well as how students were performing. When we did show growth, we are making some adjustments. The data previously was going to a different level, but now the principals have all been trained on how to access that data and keep a better track and grasp on the data and move forward with that.
Thank you, Ms.
you.
Nave. Our next item up for discussion is the renewal of Newsela. Making this presentation is Ms. Tanya Ross, and this is in alignment with policy IIA instructional materials. Ms. Ross?
Good evening, Riverview Gardens School District Board of Education, Dr. Patton, colleagues, and community. Tonight, I'm offering up for discussion and approval later on in the board meeting for the Newsela Literacy digital platform. This is a renewal, even though we have some extensions to the program. Just a little bit about Newsela. It is a live digital platform that helps our students improve with literacy, as well as the content being relevant. It goes across science, it goes across social studies, ELA, social and emotional, and the students also have an opportunity to just be interactive with their own personal interests on the Newsela platform. We are extending our subscription. We would like to include grades 3 through 5 in ELA. We originally had the subscription for grades 6 through 12. We are also extending it to science, being that social studies and ELA already works across disciplines. It's an excellent platform to bring those disciplines together to increase our student success. Some of the other benefits for Newsela is that it reaches our students on their level. It is great for differentiated instruction. It gives our teachers the resource to reach 5 different levels for Lexile. It's great for small group instruction. Just in the last year, Newsela actually bought Formative, and you might remember that we do use the Formative platform to make common formative assessments. Now they talk to each other and track the data. So not only are our students given the opportunity to get constructive response and writing essays and getting immediate feedback, they also are able to get more assessments that are aligned actually to the MAP and the EOC. The Newsela is aligned with the Missouri Learning Standards, as well as being on the state-approved supplementary instructional materials list. The item is budgeted to be picked up through ESSER at the cost of $60,445. And as already mentioned, we are asking for approval towards the end of the meeting. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Ross. The next item up for discussion is the District Professional Development Plan for the 2024-25 school year. Making this presentation is Dr. Tiffany Patton, Professional Development Coordinator, and this presentation is in compliance with Policy GCL, Professional Staff Development Opportunities. Dr. Patton?
Good evening, School Board, Dr. Patton, colleagues, community members, and friends. I bring before you tonight the District Professional Development Plan for the 24-25 school year. Before getting into the details of the plan, I just want to kind of talk about the process. So the District Professional Development Plan is created by looking at the student academic data to see where their performance needs are and where some learning gaps might exist. It also is created by looking at needs assessment that is administered to all district staff members, particularly teaching staff members, to determine what their interests are. Research does support that professional development is most effective when teachers are receiving professional learning on topics that they are interested in learning about. So that is a part of the process. And in addition to that, this previous school year, we added a District Professional Development Roundtable discussion where several departments or all departments at the district level were invited to collaboratively express professional development needs they felt were pertinent to the work in their departments and could be included in the District Professional Development Plan. So with all of those pieces combined, we have the task of putting together a plan that will serve comprehensive needs for our certified staff members. We also looked at the district CSIP. The goals that are indicated in that plan do speak to and inform what we will provide professional learning on. The state of Missouri requires that our PD 1% funds that are allocated in alignment with the CSIP goals. The CSIP goals, as well as any school building professional development goals that exist, and the individual learning growth plans that teachers and certificated staff members create. And so with that being said, our district professional learning goals are completely aligned to what our CSIP goals state. Additionally, we take into account the Learning Forward standards for professional learning. Those are the standards that are recommended in Missouri Department of Education guidelines that we follow. There are 7 of those which are included in the plan. And with those combined, we have settled on professional learning, the topics being of most interest to our staff: student engagement, classroom culture building, trauma-informed practices, parent engagement strategies, social and emotional learning. So these are the topics that we've used to craft some of the professional development activities, particularly the Summer Equity and Action Conference. Many of the breakout sessions that were provided during that time were aligned with the topics that the staff indicated, the certificated staff indicated they would like more support with. This has led to the following professional development activities being the focus of this particular school year. For District PD Days, we are still deeply involved in science of reading training. So all of our elementary ELL gifted librarians and reading specialists are participating in letters training, which is a course that is pretty intensive, but we've completed year one and we are nearing 100% completion with the course, with some staff members needing some additional time this school year. But our last district professional development day in August, we did see an increase in the number of staff members who reached the completion point. And so we're going into volume 2. This will be our last school year for the formalized training. And we're working on a process of providing this same training and the same knowledge to staff members that are hired beyond this school year, so that we can continue to develop capacity in this area. Because the elementary teachers are participating in letters training, we decided the science of reading at the secondary level would also be a great area of focus. So last school year, we used the Aspire platform, which is now grant provided by the state of Missouri, DESE, for funds to provide that training to secondary teachers. We used it last year, so we've already purchased it. This year, we're focusing on using Aspire, which is a science of reading line product that helps teachers understand how to integrate the concepts in the science of reading across multiple content areas. And so we're using that product on a smaller scale. The instructional coaches are using the resource to provide training on district level or district PD days on integrating literacy into content area instruction, specifically with the focus on writing strategies. So our last district PD day, they rolled out the claim evidence reasoning strategy across all content areas. So our secondary teachers in math, social studies, science, as well as ELA were tasked with implementing that strategy into their unit 1, and will be uploading and presenting student work to show the progress that they're making. The other major focus in our district solution tree, that is not necessarily planned by the district professional development committee, because that is work that is led from the Office of Continuous Improvement. However, it is a significant component of professional development funds and resources for the district. So Solution Tree did engage in unit planning at the beginning of the school year with our district staff members at all schools. They combined at some of the sites to work with a Solution Tree coach to look at the units and plan for exit tickets as well as learning targets. They also are providing content area coaching throughout the school year for sites in the areas of math and ELA. And then there's regular site support provided for principals who receive a Solution Tree coach, and I believe they meet monthly. There's also content-specific professional learning that's provided throughout the district PD days. Some of those topics are News Ella, as already mentioned previously by Ms. Ross, classroom culture building. There's a focus on STEM integration. There's also professional development that's been provided on MTSS as we work as a district to create and implement a robust MTSS system for our students. District professional development days are also allocated for collaborative planning time. This is based on feedback that came from our teachers in the needs assessment process, that they would like more time on district PD days to engage in working together collaboratively on all kinds of things, planning instruction, writing rubrics, coordinating grading and things of that, aligning across that grading spectrum and scale that they're using. So we provided that time, and as the year goes and the data shows what is the best use of that time, schools have been tasked and departments have been tasked with planning for those collaborative planning days throughout the school year. There will also be PD provided NCI training on de-escalation, primarily targeted towards our counseling, social emotional, social workers, and homeschool coordinating staff to help with interventions in schools as it relates to managing different tiers and levels of behaviors and meeting our students' needs. At the beginning of the school year, we did implement another opportunity based on feedback from teachers, which was choice sessions. And that aligns with the desire to ensure that teachers are provided with opportunities to learn on topics that they're interested in. And so we provided 10 different choice sessions in the AM and 10 different choice sessions in the PM in August for back to school PD. And teachers were able to register for sessions based on their interests, and those sessions aligned with the topics I mentioned earlier that they expressed the most interest in. And so we got great feedback on that day and lots of engagement. Teachers were excited about having the opportunity to self-select how they spend their time on district PD days versus it being dictated to them. And then this year, all of our school buildings have written building professional development plans, which includes theories of action aligned to the work that they are doing in their buildings and how they will use the late start Wednesdays each week. We have a 1 hour late start, and currently the buildings have autonomy over how they spend that time. And so they've placed in their building professional development plans exactly what they will be doing on those days and how it is connected to student achievement. Additional learning opportunities, we will continue to provide classroom management practice clinics throughout the school year. There is an Equity in Action book club that will be starting this fall, focused on Richard Milner's These Kids Are Out of Control text. He was one of our keynote speakers from our Equity in Action Conference, and this idea was created by the Equity in Action Committee when asked and tasked with how can we continue the learning in our district. So we will be providing that additional professional learning opportunity. New teacher mentoring is a program that is required by the state, but it is additional professional learning provided after school for new teachers to our district. Our elementary administrators are participating in Letters for Administrators to help them plan the implementation successfully for the Science of Reading training that teachers are engaged in. And then, as I mentioned, professional development plans at the school level, and then teachers are tasked with completing individual professional growth plans where they self-select areas of focus based on the teacher evaluation rubric that they would like to continue to learn and develop on. The professional development budget is currently allocated for an expenditure of $481,825. That does represent the 75% threshold that is required by the state of Missouri that we spend for those funds. And there are some items listed in there. I'll just highlight probably the most expensive ones that are allocated. So for letters training, because the training is very intensive, it comes with a $500 stipend that is provided by the grant that we are using to provide this training. Currently, providing letters training to all of our teachers does not cost the district anything, which is unusual and definitely a blessing. But we do want to provide teachers with a stipend because the programming does require work outside of their contractual day. They have to not only sit in the in-person trainings that we host on the district PD days, but they have to complete online training modules. With those modules also comes student practice activities. So they have to do case studies. And so they have to engage in additional work outside of their regular duties. And so the grant provides them with $500, but last year we matched that with an additional $500 from the PD 1% account. So teachers who successfully complete volume 2 of letters training will receive a $1,000 stipend. They usually have till the very last day of May of that school year to complete all pieces of the work to qualify for the stipend. So that is a major allocation for expenditure that you will see in the professional development budget. The other major piece of expenditures in the budget is the building level allocations for professional learning. We have tried to create equity by allocating an amount of $10,000 for the elementary schools, $15,000 for the middle schools, and $20,000 for the high school for teachers to apply or request to participate in professional learning experiences outside of the district that are aligned to either our CSIP, the building professional, or the building improvement plan, or their individual growth plans. And so, as mentioned before, that's a really critical component to teacher growth. So we made sure to allocate funds for each campus so that as teachers find workshops, conferences, and experiences they would like to participate in, they are able to do so. The other piece is curriculum writing. We do yearly allocate funds for curriculum writing. That project is driven by curriculum coordinators and the assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction. A new piece here is the District PD Day facilitators. We have included a total allocated amount of $25,000. Part of that was due to the need to provide choice sessions, which meant we had to bring roughly 10 people in to present. And so even with that, we stayed well below budget, but that additional amount has been added so that as we go through the year, if there is a need to bring facilitators in, the funds are there. And that concludes all of the information I would like to highlight for you today from the plan. And at this time, I will take any questions you have.
I have a question. And we've talked about this before, bringing that knowledge back from those professional development sessions. What are we doing so that when teachers go to those sessions to bring the knowledge back? Because the district is paying for it and it's costing quite a bit of money. I'm encouraging you to share the wealth with your colleagues, with your across schools, because if you go to a workshop or a professional development and you find something that works, it's so important to bring that back so that everybody can use that tool. And don't just take it and put it in your pocket and have it because unless all of our classrooms succeed, none of our classrooms succeed. So we have to have a way to pass that knowledge on so that all of our scholars and all of our teachers benefit from it.
So we're working on working with Tina, who's our data person for the district, to build a Google page where we can upload the presentations. Communications did come and record the keynote speakers for us so that district staff can access those presentations as well as the slideshows that they utilize. And so the goal is for all of that to just be on a landing page and district staff members can access everything that happened at the conference there. On an ongoing basis, as a part of our PD processes, the last step is for them to create a presentation to share their learnings with their professional learning community. And they are expected to email the presentation to the professional development office. The district PDC has created a template that they use that's provided to them before they go out to any workshop that they will complete. And then they send that back into us, and we request that the building PD rep and the building principal ensure that they have the opportunity in front of the staff to do the presentation.
Great presentation. My question is around, I know that your office should be closely linked to HR, but as far as onboarding, customer service training, technology literacy, how are those types of training integrated? So we have a new administrator for a position that's new. What is our onboarding process? How are we getting them acclimated to their role outside of a mentor? Like a superintendent has a mentor, principals have mentors. Some other positions that's administrative may not have mentors because the state doesn't require it. What is our process of onboarding individuals beyond the academic base, and also our administrators where they are as competent as the teachers will be? So when they go and evaluate, they even know what they're looking at. I was just curious how we're linking all of those different trainings together for all departments. Do they have to come to you, or are they doing their trainings on their own? Like technology is handling their own training, they don't come to you, and customer service is I was just curious how it's being fully integrated.
So Jennifer, would you like to speak to the onboarding process with our employees as they come in? You got to come to a microphone.
So we have actually partnered with the CNI team to have professional development, especially for the support staff that's coming in, the instructional assistants and the new teachers. So the PD department is a part of our orientations. And also we make sure that the professional development office has a spreadsheet with all of the new hires on there for as teachers to make sure that she has an accurate account and she can schedule PDs for them as well as their mentors.
So as far as our new administrators, what's your plan for supporting their training and skills.
And so I can ask Mr. Ford if he will, or we will be partnering with Leadership and Accountability to work with our administrators to make sure they are paired up as well with a mentor.
Okay, I think the main objective is if we have a coordinator that everybody is coordinating through that office, and I wasn't really hearing the plan for those other departments and what was presented today, so I didn't know how it was set up, because visually we can't see what is being done if it's not in the plan that she's presenting. So it'll be nice to have more knowledge about the district PD plan and how it's coordinated overall.
All right.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, our next item for discussion is the summary of the
Thank
fund
you.
balance. Well, thank you, Dr. Patton. Our next item is the summary of the fund balance report for the month ending in July 2024. Making this presentation is Dr. Levon Singleton, and this is aligned with policy DIAA fund balance.
Good evening, Riverview Gardens Board of Education, Dr. Tanya Patton, Superintendent, colleagues, and community. Before I give the summary of fund balance report, let me take about 60 seconds to update the board on just some developments over the last 2 days in terms of property taxes. As you all know, there are groups and we have discussions amongst ourselves, the chief financial officers, I think the superintendents were in on some conversations. There is conversation right now that centered around property tax bills being mailed out, okay? There's a big debacle, and tonight, hopefully, the St. Louis County Council will be rectifying this matter. But I wanted to bring this to the board because it potentially could have an impact on our ability to collect property taxes when they're due, typically around the December and January timeframe. If you watch any of these fund balance reports, you'll know that typically around July, August, September, our revenues are really slow, okay? And then all of a sudden in December, when property taxes are due and you and I pay our taxes, the district receives a large influx of money. And so December, January, and February. Part of that is because we get a tax bill in the mail, okay? So the big debacle right now is that the St. Louis County Revenue Department's budget has been stripped, and they have no additional funds to mail out property tax bills, okay? Now, of course, that could have a big bearing on the amount of monies that we receive in the school district. So come December, come January, you've gotten your bill in the mail, you open it, and you typically pay that bill. So right now, again, the huge debacle is those mailings won't go out. So by law, they don't have to mail you, but by law, you have to pay your taxes, right? And so we've gotten involved. I think our superintendent joined in on the conversation to just say, hey, St. Louis County Council, you guys need to approve an amended budget, an emergency funding to take care of the postage, okay? So that those property tax bills can go out, and so that, of course, districts like ours, it's not only the schools, but it's your fire districts, it's your libraries, it's all of those other entities that rely on property taxes. So again, I wanted to just share with you all, I don't know the results of the county council meeting tonight. Hopefully, the county council has taken that under advisement and will do that. I think it will have a positive impact. But if I may employ you to certainly reach out to your council leaders and get this measure taken care of. If you're old fashioned like me, I still write checks. Okay, I don't always pay all my bills online, but there are some of us who operate like that. And so we want to make sure that we maximize everything that we're entitled to. So I just want to bring the board up to date on that conversation as well. So thank you. In what is my last summary of fund balance report, I'm standing before you to deliver the July 31st summary of fund balance report. Now, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, typically around this time of year, revenues are slow, okay? And when I say that, we're typically operating, we get state aid on a monthly basis, we get Prop C revenues on a monthly basis, we get transportation monies, we get several pockets of money on a monthly basis, all right? But we get a big bulk of money, again, when property taxes come in that December timeframe. Also, we haven't really made a lot of expenditures in terms of grants, and so we don't have huge reimbursements coming in terms of grants either, okay? And so if you look at our summary of fund balance report for July, you will see that we started with a $60 million fund balance. That is as of July 1st, okay? So that's saying we got $60 million in the bank, all right? The revenues that we've received in that 1 month, okay, are about $4.6 million, but we've spent about $7.1 million, okay? And that leaves us with an ending fund balance of about $57 million. Now, we're in good shape, okay? But I want to just certainly, of course, bring the board aware and make the board aware that, the things that we typically do around this time are we file expenditure reports more often than not, and we've got some ESSER reports to finalize, some final numbers there. Title I budget was approved by you all 2 meetings ago, and so we can file some of those reports as well. But I wanted to just make sure the board was aware of where we are fiscally, okay? So this is only 1 month in. The second page, again, talks about the grant expenditures. It breaks down the numbers on the previous page, so we won't spend a lot of time there. The next page looks at the grant revenues. Again, same information on the summary page, okay? And so we won't spend a lot of time there as well. The fourth page, labeled 4 at the bottom, gives the revenue basically broken down by category. So general revenue, teachers fund, debt service. When we get our monies, there's a formula that tells us where to put certain monies, okay? 75% of the monies we get go straight into the teachers fund, okay? The rest of the monies go into the general fund. I'm sorry, I may have said that backwards, okay? I think everything goes into the general fund, and we do some transfers to the teachers funds, to debt services, capital projects, food service, and et cetera. The last page, the last 2 pages is what I'll focus on, deals with the revenue, okay? Look at where we are year over year, okay? So in 2022, this time, in the general fund, we had about $3.3 million come in the first month. In 23, about $1.8 million. And in 24, about $2.2 million. Teachers fund is always kind of similar, 2.3, 2.2, and then $2.1 million in the teachers fund as well. And then on the final page, we look at our expenditures. Again, in the general fund, we spent about $2.2 million. In the teachers, in 23, $2.5 million. And then in 2024, we've spent about $3.6 million. And again, a lot of this is increase in salaries, and we've given increases in salaries over the last several years. So that really concludes the summary of fund balance report for the 1 month ending July 31st. Are there any questions that I can answer at this time?
Okay, Dr. Singleton, you can move right into the ASBR report.
All right. Thank you again, Dr. Patton. The annual secretary of the board's report, the ASBR, is a required report that must be submitted to DESE annually by August 15th of each year. We did get our report submitted on time. And so this ASBR, annual secretary of the board's report, contains information such as revenues, expenditures, fund balances, debt, transportation data. All of this information is used to make different data comparisons. I am happy to report that our fund balance report, as we have been bringing the board along each month, so none of this will be a surprise. We reported a fund balance as of June 30th of 2024 of 37.19%. Okay, give yourselves a round of applause, school board, because this is great. Now, of course, it doesn't include our capital projects. All right, we know that we got about $27 million in from Prop S right before the end of June. And those monies are not included in that fund balance because they're earmarked specifically for what we have to do with Prop S. All right. So we don't include them for reporting purposes in terms of our fund balance. And so you can see where our general fund revenues are, our special fund, our debt services, and our capital projects fund are according to the ASBR report. So our report is in. The next big thing for us, of course, will be to set the tax rates next month, followed by the audit. And I'm being told that those things are looking very well. So hopefully everything goes really, really well for the school district. So that concludes the ASBR report, unless you all have any questions for me.
What is the projected end time for the completion of the audit? Like, what's the timeline?
So usually they come in right before the end of the school year to do some preliminary work. We call it field work. So they've come in and they've tested personnel files to make sure that all of those things are in the files that need to be. They come in and test certain expenditures. They will be back probably in October to do some real work. And when we say real work, the fiscal year has ended. They want to see some balance sheets, some income statements, those kinds of things. And then in December is typically when the audit should be complete because it has to be done by December 31st and sent to DESE in order for us to be in compliance. So, towards the end of November, beginning of December is when you all should expect to approve the full district audit.
A question of curiosity, in light of what's going on in other districts that have auditors, I had proposed the idea of a state audit. I wanted to understand what would typically be the difference in what they would be looking for versus us having our auditors that we contract with.
Sure. So if I understand your question is really what's the difference between a state audit and our independent auditors? And I don't think there's really a huge difference. I mean, auditors know what they come to look for, and they really audit you based on your own policies and procedures. They don't come in, they're not creating anything. If you tell them that this is how we handle a purchase or a requisition, they come in and test your own expenditures to see if you handle your purchases according to your own policies and procedures. And so, people get, we get excited and we call for state audits, and that's okay, but honestly, if you have a good internal auditor, which the district doesn't have we've got a CPA on staff, let me say, who does an excellent job in helping us prepare our books. But the independent audit itself is a requirement, especially if you get over certain threshold and federal program monies. We are required. We have to have one on an annual basis. But there's really not a huge difference between what our independent auditors do and what our state auditors will come in and do. They're all looking for those same targets. Your spending. Are you spending according to policy? Or those kinds of things.
Well, if this is your actual last report, I would like to thank you for your service.
Right.
If we figure out something else, then it won't be your last, but thank you so much for all that you've done, and we really appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Give Dr. Levon Singleton a big loud round of applause. We have appreciated your service.
Thank you.
You have been effective in your position, as well as the comedian for everybody when we needed it. So we really do, we'll miss your presence in our board meetings, and we wish you well
Thank you.
in your next endeavor.
Thank you. And let me say this to the board of, I still got special administrative board. Thank you. Ms. Morrow Real, thank you. Many people don't know, they don't know how I got hired, and they don't know the opposition that I was against. But we made it. And I think we proved the opposition wrong. Monica, she was on the other side at that time. But thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the Special Administrative Board. I mean, to the Riverview Gardens Board of Education.
Moving on to our next item without any tears will be the Success Academy plan being presented. This is being presented by Dr. John C. Finkley. He is the director of our Success Academy, and this is in conjunction with policies JEC, school admissions, eligibility to enroll. Dr. Finkley.
Thank you, Dr. Patton, to illustrious school board president, to all of my colleagues and community. We stand today to represent the Success Academy, which is the alternative school education here in the Riverview Gardens School District. We want to certainly thank you for your consideration with the augmentation of our budget to include the considerations for staffing at the tune of $755,000, $755,750, and also the software additions that we need to continue to serve the 3 levels of students that we have on our campus, our Missouri Options students who will benefit from this essential education software, the Edgenuity software as well, and other software that we use for our special education, special needs students. We thank you also for your consideration for transportation. We have been talking to parents for the last few weeks, and there have been several parents that have expressed the need for transportation, getting their students to and from the Success Academy. These funds will go to ensure that those students, those scholars can get back and forth safely. And of course, the materials and technology and also capital gains, capital project with our copier. We appreciate all of your consideration as we are adamant about making each and every one of our students successful at the Success Academy. This concludes my report. Do you have any questions?
Hello. I asked the counselor, I believe, no, college, what is, teaching, okay, CCR specialist about, the integration of different programs at the high school with the Success Academy. One being like their attendance to North County Tech. Can they still attend North County Tech? I know some of them are credit deficient, but like the Missouri Options, if they part-time or whatever, are they able to still attend those programs and be involved in things that's connected with the high school?
There are some programs that we are connected with the high school, Job Corps. There are other agencies that we will connect our students with who are going through the Missouri Options and also who are credit recovery. The North County Tech, we have not made that connection as of yet because our students, their concentration right now is getting the academic work done so that they can move on.
Okay.
Like to say, in special circumstances, we have had some students who've been able to participate in both the alternative placement as well as North County Tech, but they do look at your attendance, your GPA, your credit. So with those and discipline. So they want to make sure that you're equipped or you're on target with your credits before you can come over to North County Tech. But we are in position of putting things in place so that there are some trades and there's workforce development. We're working with some different groups to make sure that there are some other things, also some therapeutic services to make sure that we're putting some wraparound things in place for all of the students there.
And as far as the graduation, is that going to be combined?
Yes, it will be combined.
One more question. And I appreciate that you've already answered it, but I just want everybody to hear. So I'll ask the question that I asked earlier. with regards to if a student chooses the Missouri Options path, is that diploma worth the same 24 credits as the diploma awarded to a Riverview Gardens High School student in the regular education program?
It is. It is.
I just wanted to hear you say it out loud.
Yes. 24 hours.
This is so important to me because I have fought so hard for our students to receive an actual diploma, not, I can't even remember what they call it, other thing, but our kids don't get that anymore. We're getting actual diplomas. So that they are college and career ready, whichever path they choose, whether it be a trade or college. Thank you.
Do you want us to say it louder, Dr. Coleman? The Missouri Options, is that good?
You can
Is
say it real
equivalent
loud.
to our high school diploma?
Yes.
Yes, okay, all right.
Thank you.
None of that. What do they call that? thing?
We don't even know. We forgot about it, Dr. Coleman. We forgot about it. Dr. Finkley, great job on your first presentation. Get
Thank you.
comfortable. The next item up for discussion is the assessment handbook. Making this presentation is Dr. Tiffany Hunter, the Director of Assessment, and this is in line with Policy IL, Assessment Program, and Policy ILA, Test Integrity and Security. Dr. Hunter.
Good evening, Riverview Gardens School Board, Dr. Tanya Patton, colleagues, and community. This evening, I am presenting the assessment handbook and calendar for the 2024-2025 school year. So DESE requires school systems to implement a comprehensive assessment system that includes state-required and locally selected assessments. MSIP 6 requires the school board to approve a comprehensive written student assessment plan that includes all assessments administered and the purpose for which the assessments are used. And so overall, the purpose of this handbook is to guide and inform our school community of state and local assessments, how we administer those assessments, and then how we share the data with our stakeholders. So I'm going to highlight just a few of the major changes in comparison to last year's handbook. On page 4, you'll see the addition of the policy reference for dyslexia screening and related disorders. Something to kind of highlight for you all. The update is that kindergartners will or must be screened by November the 15th per Senate Bill 681 from DESE. On page 5, you'll see an explanation of how to use the Renaissance data to determine if students are at risk for dyslexia. And so with Senate Bill 681, they have partnered with Renaissance. And so the cutoff scores they're more defined, if I can say. And so with the district benchmark and the state benchmark, they're different. And so our district benchmarks will catch students who are below the 32nd percentile, which will show students who need a reading success plan. And so when looking closer at that data, those students who are in the lower 25th percentile, those are students who may be at risk for dyslexia. And so our district benchmark will clearly show that for our teachers and our administrators so that they know clearly who needs a reading success plan and who does not. We also have a state benchmark which is supposed to be or is aligned to the MAP data. And so that state benchmark is what we will use when we're presenting student performance and their progress and how they're doing as it relates to proficiency with our state standards. And you can find that information on page 5. You'll see at the bottom of page 5, information about the kindergarten entry assessment. This is something we've done in the past. This year, DESE has sent out an administrative memo which kind of specifies which assessments they want us to use for this KEA. The district is currently using the KOF, which is the kindergarten observation form. All kindergarten teachers were trained in this at the beginning of the year. And so this assessment is something that we report and as part of our APR in compliance with MSIP 6. And so that information is due to DESE by October 15th during the core data cycle. On page 8, you will see a note that talks about ACT prep with working with College and Career Readiness, Ms. Tijan, our College and Career Readiness Specialist, as Dr. May called her. We have partnered with Varsity Tutors who can assist us with getting ACT prep for our students. And so that is noted here in the handbook in the College and Career Readiness section. On pages 13 through 15, you will see an assessment overview. And basically, this is an explanation of each assessment, the platform used for the assessment, whether the assessment is state, district, or national. And then it also kind of shows you how we use those results and how we communicate those results to our stakeholders. Last but not least, an updated assessment calendar is found on page 16 and 18, which shows you our testing windows for all of our assessments from pre-K all the way to 12th grade, as well as those special assessments such as WIDA, which is used for our English language learners, our gifted screener, as well as our MAP-A, which services our special education students who do not participate in grade level MAP. And so it is recommended that the Riverview Gardens School Board approve the assessment handbook and calendar for the 2024-2025 school year later in this meeting. Are there any questions? No. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Dr. Hunter. Our next item up for discussion is the Live School Ed Tech app. This item is being presented by Dr. Jared Smith, and this is in conjunction with policy JEA, compulsory and part-time attendance, and JED, attendance, absences, and excuses. Dr. Jared Smith.
Good evening, Riverview Gardens Board of Education, Dr. Patton, community colleagues, and friends. In our effort to be transformational, we're committed to focusing more on the positive things that our students are doing, as opposed to focusing on the few negative things that our students may do. And so in keeping in line with that, we want to include or implement the Live School Ed Tech app. It's an app that teachers and any staff member actually could use to track those positive behaviors, because it'll be in conjunction with our PBIS plan. It'll be used to track those positive behaviors that students display, whether it's wearing their IDs or getting to class on time, or coming to school every day, or helping out a classmate, or reporting an incident. Whatever the case may be, those students will be able to get points every time they display those positive behaviors. We'll be able to take that data and track that data, and our PBIS team will be able to use that data to continue to bring our students incentives, and to give our students different incentives for different things that they do. So it's pretty simple, but it's definitely something that we think will have a big impact on our PBIS program. And it's very robust. The app is very robust. So it gives us, it'll give us a lot of data that we'll be able to track throughout the year, as well as into the summer as we plan for next year as well. So it is the recommendation that the Riverview Gardens Board of Education approve the purchase of the Live School Ed Tech platform for an amount not exceeding $6,675. Are there any questions?
All right, Dr. Smith, moving right into your next presentation, School Connect, preparing students for high school, college, and work. And then I want to remind everybody, we have a few items left, so if you can move through them pretty quickly, we would appreciate it.
Enough said. So this next item is kind of goes into conjunction with our PBS efforts and our efforts to increase our students' social and emotional awareness. And this is School Connect. It's a web-based platform. It will work in conjunction with 7 Minds that we have, as well as 7 Mindset, as well as Branching Minds, to just provide more services, particularly to our 9th graders, who are doing awesome, by the way, so far. Particularly to our 9th graders, to help, like I said, grow their social, emotional, and academic skills. So it is the recommendation that the Riverview Gardens Board of Education approve the purchase of licenses for 11 to 50 educators for School Connect in the amount not to exceed $4,500. Are there any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Our next item up for discussion is the food service grant. Making this presentation is Janae Outlaw. She is the Assistant Director of Food Service, and this presentation is in conjunction with policy DD grants.
Good afternoon, Riverview Gardens Administration, Dr. Patton, community, and colleagues. I come before you tonight, not long, to let you guys know that the Food Service Department applied for a grant for some equipment to update our kitchens. The grant was for $25,000, and that grant is for some dishwashers for our Michelle Obama School and LeMasters Elementary. This grant will efficiently make sure that our kitchen staff have equipment that they can use to make their buildings more functional for moving forward with our plan to make our kitchens more fully staffed to where they won't be satellite kitchens anymore. That is all I have for you. Do anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you, Ms. Outlaw. She was very nervous in making that presentation as well. Thank you. Our next item up for discussion is closing the learning grant gap PD and the stipends. Making this presentation is Ms. Barbara Sharp, who is the Executive Director of Continuous Improvement. Ms. Sharp?
Hello to the Riverview Gardens School District Board of Education, Superintendent Patton, colleagues and members of community. This item has come to you before. You have seen this item on 2 separate occasions. Tonight, however, I am bringing this item for additional consideration. When I initially presented this item, the request was for 49 participants, 49 staff to attend this conference. Obviously, the conference has ended. However, after I conducted some analysis, I determined that only approximately 28 staff members participated. And I also took in consideration some special issues that occurred during this time period. Staff members had difficulties attending the conference. They also expressed issues in terms of equity. There was another conference that was offered, and employees were able to receive $100 a day for their participation. After I looked at this information, had conversation with DOT and our superintendent, so I'm presenting this to you tonight. This request will only require an additional $300 to increase the rate of pay for participants from $50 a day to $100 a day. So I am requesting that the board consider this request. I am also requesting that discussion occur, and then at the conclusion that approval will be granted. I'll take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. The next item up is the revised nursing salary schedule. In Mr. Forrest's absence, are you making wait, Jennifer, yeah, that's what I was trying to determine. Okay, in Mr. Forrest's absence, Ms. Jennifer Williams will make this presentation. Ms. Williams, and I skipped the human resource, the MOU with Harris Stowe. Are you doing that one too? Okay, come on up. Ms. Jennifer Williams, you can present the MOU with Human Resources for Human Resources with Harris Stowe for student teaching. We haven't had student teachers for a while, so this is welcome, Ms. Williams.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, school board members, Dr. Patton, colleagues, and community. Today, I am presenting an MOU to establish a partnership with Harris Stowe State University. This MOU would allow Riverview Gardens to enter into a partnership agreement with Harris Stowe State University to send education students to Riverview Gardens for field and clinical placements. This program will support our recruitment efforts and allow us to build a teacher recruiting pipeline. the Harris-Stowe State University education students, these will be the students that are in their last year for the bachelor's degree program. It also offers an incentive pay for the teachers that are doing it or will be cooperating teachers with the students. And the stipend will be, well, the incentive pay will be $75 for the term. So it doesn't matter if it was for the semester or for the year, it still will be $75. And the MOU is for 5 years and the program is free to the district. Are there any questions?
So will the district and Harris-Stowe collaborate on a plan of the activities they want them to do?
So
Or
they already have outlined.
they already have an outline? Great. Okay,
What the
thank you.
students have to be involved in.
All right, great.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Our next item is the revised nursing salary schedule for the 24-25 school year. Making this presentation in Mr. Ford's absence. We thought he was done, but not quite. Is our CFO, Dr. Levon Singleton, and this is in conjunction with policy GDBA, support staff compensation. Dr. Singleton.
Thank you, Dr. Patton. So tonight we're presenting in Mr. Ford's absence, the nurses' salary schedule. Several months ago, we brought you the results of a compensation study. And then the board allowed us to make some changes and give raises that were in excess of the compensation study. We'll be just totally honest with you. The nurses' salary schedule has just been different, okay? It's been difficult to kind of track. And so Mr. Ford and I locked ourselves in the room a couple days this week and last week and wanted to really make sure that this scale was right. We had nurses who were, when you calculated their annual salary, it was something different than what the hourly salary came to. So we're pretty confident in this new schedule. And this is the nurses' schedule that we would like the Board of Education to accept tonight. Are there any questions? One last comment. Now, Dr. Patton, don't get me now. Ms. Nave presented item B, okay? It is an ESSER-related item. That needs to be discussion and action. We are 30 days away from paying ESSER. So if I could ask, however it needs to happen, if that could get on the consent agenda or on the action agenda tonight as well, so that we can pay those bills. Thank you.
Snuck that in. Our last item up for discussion is the comprehensive communications plan update. Making this presentation is Ismail Sistrunk, our Executive Director of Communication, and Ms. Ayanna Flowers as well.
Good evening again. So we're going to try to move through this quickly. I know the night has been long, but we do want to present the update to the comprehensive communications plan. What I'm going to do is really go through the goals and just sort of the changes that we've made, because a lot of things carried over from last year. One of the new items, if you look at page 2 on there, is a table of contents. That's something simple, but as we talked about it in the meeting, people said, hey, let's have a table of contents to make it easier for people to find items. So that is new to this document. Page 3, that's pretty much the same from last year. 4, the internal audiences, that's all the same. 5, the communications channels, that just shows the outlets where we put news. Going down to page 6, communications goal number 1. The goal itself is the same: develop and maintain positive collaborative relationships with all stakeholders to strengthen support for Riverview Gardens School District. Strategy 1 and those action steps are the same, except for that last action step on page 6. Regularly host Board of Education meetings in school locations to help raise awareness of the school board. That's what we're doing tonight. We're here at Michelle Obama. For each month where we have 2 board meetings, one of those meetings is in a school, and that's to help build community engagement. So we added that to the communications plan. Going to strategy 2, this is a new strategy. We will improve student voice, involvement, and engagement with the Riverview Gardens School District. And those strategies are to work with the Student Advisory Committee for student reps on the board, which we've done in the past, and we're going to send out those nominations soon, or the invitation for nominations soon. Identify students to be on the Communications Committee. That's been a struggle. We've reached out to students to be on the Communications Committee. We haven't had anybody bite consistently. So if you know any kids, especially the high school and middle school leaders, please send them my way. Work with school administrators and teachers to bring student involvement in the district communications via student articles and newsletters, student videos, student podcasts, student-driven social media posts, other student-driven communications initiatives, and a communications internship. And that's something we've talked to Dr. Smith about. We've talked to the middle school principals about, just making sure that we can work closely with those students to capture their voice. And even with the new website, one of our ultimate goals is to allow students and teachers to be able to post content to the website, although it will be moderated by the department. And collaborate with the journalism and ELA teacher at the high school. I'm going to jump down to page 9. Communication goal 2 is the same, improve the climate and culture in the district. One of those things, the survey, we changed that because in the communications plan last year, the plan said 2 surveys per year, but CSIP said 3 surveys per year. So we changed that to make sure that we were in alignment. Going down to the bottom, the neighborhood walks, that's something that Dr. Patton mentioned earlier. We're going to do those quarterly, with the first one being in the Village of Riverview Parade. Next page, communications goal 3, improve the image of the district. And that is the same, but if you look at strategy 2, that's something that's different from a departmental aspect. Use the RPI method. RPI stands for Research, Planning, Implementation, and Evaluation for all district communications and events. And what that'll help us do is just to be better organized and to be more intentional as we plan events from the beginning to the end. Strategy 3, enhance the website and social media to promote scholar, staff, events, and initiatives. And again, that's something that the board has approved us switching over our new website. That'll go into effect in October. So thank you for that. And everything else on here is the same, so I'm not going to go through all the pages. If you can pull up the climate and culture survey piece. And I'm going to go through this in 60 seconds. This actually would have been with the program review, but it's very important. And what we did is we just pulled out the information that was directly related to climate and culture. We've talked before, one of our challenges with the last survey, it was too long, was probably 60 some questions. We're going to lower that to about 15 this year, but I wanted to show those results. So in the fall, we had 234 respondents. This is the employee survey because that's the one where we really got a decent feedback. This year we had 114, so it's about half of the respondents. Part of the reason for that is we launched it at the very end of the school year and people were they were ready to go. And so this year, what we're going to do to combat that, we've scheduled when the surveys will go out. The first one will actually go out probably next week. And we're scheduling those around parent conferences so we can get that information out. They'll also go out in the newsletters that we're mailing out so we can get broader reach in the community. But the fall survey results, how strongly do you agree or disagree? For this first one, we had 67% favorable. A lot of these questions were, I'm proud to work with Riverview Gardens, things like that. In the spring survey, we jumped to 78% favorable. So we surpassed that 10% goal. Next page. Down. Oh, go down to the next one after that. That's a continuation. For this one, this asks about department leaders, if they're consistent with their words and things of that nature. 46% favorable in the fall, 53% favorable in the spring. Going down to the next page, this is about district leaders. Are we consistent with our words? 36%, that was a low number back in the fall of 2023. That jumped 10% to 46% in the spring. The next question, how helpful has communication been? 43% favorable in fall of 2023, jumped to 60% favorable in the spring. The next question, a lot of questions about morale in the district, 52% favorable in the fall, 62% favorable in the spring. And I believe that's the last one we have. So you see across those climate and culture and communications issues, there was growth. Now, 62%, we can definitely do better, but in most of those, we're seeing double-digit growth, and that's the direction that we want to go. And the last piece I'm going to go over really quickly is this employee guidelines. Hey, I'm going to get through it in 60 seconds. I'm sorry, brother. You've been up here 12 times. Right. And this is now, it's his last day. He's gonna show out a little bit. That's fine. That's fine. That's all right. All right. The only thing I want to show, so this communications guidelines and procedures, this is something that the district previously used to use instead of having a communications plan. We're bringing it back just to give some guidance for our employees in terms of communication. On page 3, you'll see one of the big things we're asking people when you email the communications department, instead of emailing me or Ayana or Ebony, email communications@rgsd.k12.mo.us. We all get that information. It helps us to stay on top of task. The next page, communications request. We're working to create a form so people can fill out a form when they have communications requests the same way you do with technology, or you may do with maintenance. We want to have a centralized system where you fill out that form. We're able to track that and make sure that we stay on top of it. News media interviews, going down on page 4. All interview requests should come through the communications department or the superintendent. And that doesn't mean people can't talk to the media. We had a post-dispatch reporter earlier, but we need to know about it, make sure that we're putting out positive, accurate information to the media. And lastly, and I will get assaulted if I do not mention this, and because when I made this document, people said, make sure that you tell people do not reply to all on emails. So that is a major request. When you send out district-wide emails or emails to large groups, the best way to do it, and it shows you in here, put people in the BCC area. So when they reply, they're not replying to everybody. So people don't get, oh, thank you, I appreciate it, those cookies were good, and it's going to 50 people in a row. So we're gonna, if this is approved by the board with the communications plan, we're gonna share this to all staff members just so they have some guidelines. It also talks about email signatures and responding within 48 hours, things like that. But we just wanted to submit this for your review. Any questions?
Not a question, a quick suggestion.
Yes.
On the survey, if one question can be asked just to say, did you complete the first survey for the second one, to see, you know, if it's the same person that's doing the post, you know, just that one question, did you complete the first survey on the second one?
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sistrunk, Mrs. Flowers. This concludes our items for discussion.
I would like to move to add 9B, 9L, and 9K to the items for action. 9B, 9L, 9K, based on the urgency of the superintendent and our CFO. I move to add 9B, 9L, and 9K to the items for action.
Dr. Yvonne has made a motion to move items 9B, 9L, and 9K
to the items for action
Madam
because of the
Chair.
urgency?
They're already there, except with the exception of 9B. 9L, which is the closing the gap, is on the agenda as 12D, just for clarification. And then also 9K, which is food service grant, is item 12F. So the only one that is not part of the items for action would be 9B.
What about P, for the LDR?
So 9P is not, I'm sorry, it is. Let me make sure. Yes, it is. 9P is item 12E, and I know you're used to seeing them being in that order, so I do apologize. They're not in the same orders they're appearing on the items for discussion.
But if you recall, I requested that those be,
So
Separate.
your request was that the item under consent for 11P be added under items for action. But there is also an item 12E.
okay.
Right.
well, I must have missed it. I wanted item 9P to be discussed separate from this right here.
They are separate agenda items, Ms.
Okay.
Marvel.
Right, but I'm saying I wanted to discuss it. Maybe I'm not saying it right.
It's up for discussion next.
Okay.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
then, on here, on items for action on 12E, I wanted that pool to be voted on separate.
It is there to be
Okay,
voted
I
on
just wanted to make
separately.
sure. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I thought that you wanted the item that was listed under 11P removed from the items of consent. No? What did you want?
Said P. L.
Yes, I did want it removed from the items of consent.
Okay, it has been. Thank you.
And you don't mean, yeah, correct that.
All right, I move to have 9B included under items for action.
Motion has been made to move item 9B to include that in the items for action. Can I get a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Ms. Marrell, and the motion was made by Dr. Von Elliott. All in favor? Aye.
We're now at item 9P, Madam Chair.
Right. Yes. And my rationale for that is because in the past, when we've used LDR services, we never set a dollar figure without a selection of a person. And so to me, I would have liked more information on that because I don't see anybody listed as taking that position, but we have an amount scheduled, and that's, I don't know if it's changed because it's been some years, but in the past, whenever we awarded any kind of contract to them, we always had a person already selected and the amount that they were going to be paid. And that was my concern regarding this. That's my only concern regarding it.
So Ms. Morrell, let me speak to that. The contract is with LDR Services for a CFO. And the person, I brought the contract forward. You all asked for the resume, which I did attach to the questions that were submitted earlier. Okay, yeah, he is attached to it. My goal, the charge is per hour. My goal is to have a effective CFO hired within the next 3 to 4 weeks. And so the amount that you see there is is the top end, right? Because as much as I appreciate Dr. Singleton, um, most effective um, most effective CFOs have already been hired for the school district. So my goal is not to rush the process so that we have a good person who can come in and be effective in that role. And so my concern is most of them may already be taken. And so we're bringing in an interim CFO that will be a part of the process with us. But my goal is to have this person hired and in place within 3 to 4 weeks. So what the amount you see there is on the top end. So his resume is now attached.
That I did not see the resume, and now that it's attached, I'll go back and look at it. That was my only concern. I just wanted to make sure that we had a person selected as opposed to just a dollar amount.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I had made a proposal as well. There is a state statute, and I just want to share it with the public. It is concerning superintendents, but it says that notwithstanding any provision of law to the contrary, 2 or more school districts may share a superintendent who possess a valid Missouri superintendent's license. If any school district choose to share a superintendent, they shall not be required to receive approval from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, but may notify the department. I think that there's always opportunity to be creative, and I still would like to entertain the opportunity of asking Ferguson and the CFO about their interest in, providing us service, because it can be done. And so that's my proposal, because we don't have to lose people. We can share people.
Can you tell us what that state statute?
That
number
is,
is?
is from chapter 168.205. And so if a superintendent can be shared, there's no conflict of interest. And what is typically done is just like with special school district or some other partnership, you pay the funds to the district for the salary. So they're not getting paid from 2 different entities, like 2 different checks. It get paid like you paying tuition to a school district. For students, you pay it to that school district. So the working out how much that person get paid has to be discussed with the parties who will be involved, which will be the CFO himself. So
So Dr. May, let me address that too. While I didn't specifically reach out to Ferguson, I did reach out to 2 school districts and inquired about the possibility. I can tell you that neither of those districts were interested. One of them, their CFO just made too much money. And if we were to even take half of that salary, which in essence is what we would do, it would still be higher than the salary for the full-time when they're working part-time. And so my goal is to, within the next, like I said, 3 to 4 weeks, to bring in an effective superintendent. I can reach out to that specific district that you spoke of and get information from them as to what the cost would be. In the interim, I would like the board to consider the contract with LDR so that we can start. Dr. Singleton informed me, and I'm gonna put it out here because I have to, his last day is in 2 days. And so we are in a bind right now, and we need to bring in somebody who has the full attention for Riverview Gardens to make sure we have 2 very important things coming up. We're setting the tax rate by September the 24th, and we are starting an audit in October. And so we are on a timeline. And so I would like the board to consider moving forward with the contract. That doesn't mean, Dr. May, that in that time we can't also figure that out in the interim. And then if that works out, this person is under contract on an hourly basis. We can easily discontinue the contract with LDR.
but everything else is fine. So with that being said, I'd like a motion to remove to vote separately on item P for the consent agenda, but to vote on items A through O and Q through, let's see, R for the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Mara Real and second by Ms. Savant Elliott to accept items A through O and Q through R for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Ms. Lane, Ms. Williams, you have questions? So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Now, item P, the consultation services with LDR. The motion is to, this is the one for the superintendent. May I get a motion to accept the consultation services with LDR for the superintendent mentor? I make the motion.
Sure, I'd make the motion to accept the consultation service with LDR for the superintendent.
Is there-
As stated.
Thank you. Is there a second? I second. Discussion?
I think the points that Monica made the last time was valid, so
Refresh my memory.
she referenced the fact that we had a solution tree person liaison in the district for support for that particular initiative. She referenced the staff that we already have to support that solution tree agreement.
For the superintendent?
Ms. Short.
To support the work, and also the superintendent has a mentor through DESE, is that correct, Dr. Patton?
Yes, that is
And
correct.
then also there's an opportunity for superintendents to have a mentor through MASA, Missouri Administrators, and that's $470 a year for that membership. So there are other opportunities for support.
And I agree with that, Ms. Williams. What I will say is that those specific superintendents do not have the experience within Riverview Gardens. As I stated in the item, our previous superintendent was the author of our CSIP plan and started this turnaround process. With Solution Tree as well as our CSIP plan, we have a new assistant superintendent in curriculum and instruction, and she also requires support within the CSIP plan. So my request is specific to who the superintendent is because she started the work, she knows the map, she helped actually authored the blueprint and she knows where we need to go. And my guess would be that other superintendents who were not involved in that work on the front end would have to learn that. I also would like the board to keep in mind that you're talking about 10 hours a month. I will call that superintendent when I need to, and if I don't need to, the district isn't billed for it. So I just want to say that as well.
Thank you. Ms. Lane?
Yes, ma'am. I think the uniqueness of the of our position is just that. I recognize all that you just said. I didn't know any of that, but notwithstanding any of those things, I don't recall. I know that when you retired, there was another person who was in the HR position. And I don't know enough about your job, except we found the need to have a contract with you to complete, if memory serves me correctly, a project, something that was specific. That's kind of what I remember it was. And so this is not a lot unlike that, because I believe we're in a specific situation here in the sense that we're on sort of a new board. We've just had 2 elections from the citizens as opposed to being appointed by DESE. We're still trying to get our feet wet and move forward. I just don't think that it would be productive to try to explain all of this to somebody who doesn't know all of this. And we've made so much progress so far. The continuity is what I think is important that we maintain for our success.
Continuity is key to the success of a district because we see so often many districts may have 3 superintendents in as many years. And every time there's someone new, they bring their own agenda, they bring their own ideas and their own vision, and it changes and there's no continuity for the staff, for the students, and you cannot expect to grow when you keep changing. But if we have the opportunity to continue the good work that has been started and to build on that and to get that, and I can't think of anyone better than who we've chosen to help us along this way. We've come so close. It would be a shame to drop the ball now. And basically, yeah, it would be a shame not to be able to use what we have, those tools that we have, those people in place that we have that are willing to help us and willing to build. And we know the vision and they understand the needs of our district. I was in a meeting last night and we were talking about, each person was talking about the needs of their districts. And one person who was sitting at the table who knows nothing about Riverview says, well, why don't you guys just join another district? Why don't you just partner with another? I was like, no. No, because we have to show up for Riverview and we have to continue what we started and don't get this close to the finish line and fumble the ball.
And let me add, if you don't mind, this is about Riverview Gardens. This is not about Tanya Patton. This is about Riverview Gardens. We have made great gains. Dr. Hunter will be presenting that in our next board meeting. We have made great gains. We're in the last year with the Solution Tree contract. And my goal, I have one goal, and that's to get this district back to full accreditation. One of the reasons the board hired me in this position is for continuity, not to bring in someone who knew what was happening, knows the climate and culture. That was the whole reason, is for continuity. My goal is to move this district forward with the team that we have in place and with 10 hours a month of consultation with the previous superintendent, because she's the author of the work that we started. I routinely call Dr. Jordan. She talks to me anyway. I routinely call her. What I'm asking the board is to keep this ball moving forward. Let's get back to full accreditation. I want us to full accreditation in 2 years, to bring someone in, to consult with someone who has no knowledge of our CSIP, was not a part of the planning, did not participate. It would be very unproductive to completing this process of full accreditation.
Madam Chair, may I add to Ms. Lane, the contract that I had as a consultant when I left is not this. And I'm not going to go into all the circumstances surrounding that, but it's not the same thing. So I just want to state that for the record.
Is there any further discussion? You have the motion. So the motion is to accept. I'm sorry. The motion is to accept item P on the agenda for the consultation services with LDR as stated.
Madam Chair, can we have a roll call vote?
All right. Roll call vote, please, Shay.
Yes, Ms. Williams,
No.
Ms. Lane, Ms. Morrill, Ms. Mario. Dr. Nikita Coleman,
Yes.
Dr. Von Elliott.
No.
There were 3 no and 2 yes votes, so the motion fails.
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to move this item for a later discussion with additional board members and other considerations, but I don't think that is a pertinent need at this time.
It's been motioned by Dr. Avant Elliott and second by Ms. Mario to move this item to a later discussion when other board members are present.
And, you know, where we can further assess the need. Yeah, so it's not really like next board meeting necessarily, but, you know, we can just revisit it at a future point.
So I'm confused because if we could have just, and I'm sure it's a parliamentary procedure, but if we could have just tabled this or put it off or what have you, why did we take a vote in the first place?
Because you motion, and it was a second and she called for the vote.
Because it was on the agenda.
No, but it could have been done, instead of you making the motion to vote on it, it could have been made to push it
Oh,
forward
could
in the
have been
first
another
place.
motion from the very beginning.
Right.
Correct,
right.
before it was voted,
Okay.
before it was
Yes.
roll call.
So is a motion now, do we need a motion now to, what did you say?
Revisit this discussion at a later time.
That requires a motion? Isn't it?
Now, right now, it has failed to not give her a contract at all, based on the 3-2 vote. But I'm just putting it back on the table for a later discussion in the future.
We're looking for a second of that motion.
Ms.
Madam
Morrell
Chair, we
seconded.
didn't hear you. Thank you so much.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Now moving to our items for action. To take these one at a time. We'll take it one at a time. Do we need to? No, we don't. Okay, I need I'm sorry, go ahead.
Exception of,
We've already talked about E. So I need a motion to accept items A, B, C, D, and F.
Wait a
E
minute,
is
point of
different.
order, E is for the CFO, so that was an item for action.
We already,
We didn't vote on
oh,
it.
okay.
It was just a discussion.
Oh, okay. A motion to include all of the items for action, and 9B and 9B to be added to the items for action.
Chair, I so move.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Mario and second by Dr. Von Elliott to add items 9B. Is that right? As well as
No, we already added that. We just approving all of
to
it.
approve items A through F and 9B.
Yes.
Roll call vote, please, Shay.
Yes, Dr. Von Elliott.
Yes.
Dr. Nikita Coleman,
Yes.
Ms. Veronica Morrell, Ms. Wanda Lane, Ms. Monica Williams.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I believe that's it. So may I have a motion to adjourn?
Chair, I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, moved by Ms. Mario and second by Dr. Von Elliott to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Good night, everyone, and thank you for your time.